Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7. This might actually be the final Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 episode, seeing as we are about 4 days away. I was going to say less than 4 days away, but at the time of uploading, we're about 4 days and probably like 5 hours away from the announcement, which is coming, if you live on the East Coast of the United States, this Friday night, probably around 8:30 p.m., which I will be live for on the channel. The announcement about details regarding the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7, Yu-Gi-Oh! 2020, whatever you want to dub it as, before we get that official name. So this is going to be a really long week. I cannot wait for Friday. I cannot wait for the announcement to be watching the announcement come in with all of you, hopefully. But before we get there, there is a little bit more that I want to discuss in possibilities about the 7th Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. The first video I did in regards to Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 was about a girl lead. And when I think about something that I would like to see the most, it has been a girl lead for a while now. It has been a girl lead for a few shows. I think it would be unique. I think it would be interesting. It's a completely different angle than anything we've seen before in regards to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist. And I think it would be really cool, and that's the main reason why I would love to see a girl protag. The possibility of that, though, is very slim. I genuinely have trouble actually seeing it happening. But here is an idea that I think is more possible, and that is twin protagonists. Now, this is something that has been discussed by many of us, and I'm going to talk about why I think this would be a really cool dynamic, and also why I believe this idea is not as preposterous as it may seem, and why the previous Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows have almost set us up for having dual protagonists, for having twin protagonists. So first things first, I think if we went down the route of twin protagonists, it would most likely be a brother and a sister. Another option is probably a brother and a brother. I cannot see twin sisters happening. Like, if I have trouble imagining them going with a female protagonist, I cannot picture them doing two sisters if they go down the route of twins. Can't see that happening. The reason a brother and a sister could definitely work, and actually a kind of a close semblance of what I would like to see if they went down this route, we actually have to look at Arc 5. Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, before they went to Synchro, you had Yuya and Yuzu. Now, obviously, Yuya and Yuzu were not siblings, they were not related, they most certainly were not twins, but they both went on their own journeys. Yuzu was learning how to fusion, she was learning more about Yuto, the mysterious man that she saw duel Shingo very early on in the show, and Yuya was going down his own journey of qualifying for the tournament and mastering the pendulum summoning method, and we saw these two growing parallel to each other, but not with each other. And I think that's why so many people loved the Standard Dimension arc and the first 50 episodes of Arc 5. And honestly, the first few seasons of Arc 5, I absolutely loved, because you had these two, your main guy, your main girl, and they were both growing at a very good and healthy rate, and they had their own stories that were meshing with the overall story of the show. So I think having two different perspectives on things would be really cool, and I think they just kind of need to follow the guidelines of what Arc 5 was until Yuzu became a damsel after that Yuri duel, and I think you would have a really solid arc for both of these protagonists. Now, one protagonist is hard enough to nail. Two protagonists could be just as tough, but there's really an endless amount of possibilities if you have twin protagonists, because down the road of the show, you could have one of the siblings, one of the twins, turn on the other one. You could have one of the twins kind of play the antagonist role down the stretch, and whether it's because they just disagree at a core belief of what's going on in the show, or they get, brainwashed, or they side with the villain for whatever reason, or someone's able to kind of split up the bonds between them, and that could be another overarching theme of the show. I mean, how often with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the show and the story synonymous with bonds, with friendship? Well, what bond is stronger than twins, than siblings? And if you see these twins kind of separate and turn on each other, and the other characters in the show have to bring these two back together, and they become a strong force, and that's what ends up saving the show, or the threat to the show, I think it could be done really well, and I think it could be really cool and unique. I can't think of many shows that have twin protags, that have multiple protagonists. I think the backstory writes itself really well. You could have them come from a very tough family. You could have them come from a very illustrious family where maybe one of the twins was favored over the other one because they were a better duelist or had more friends or were better at talking to people. I mean, there's so many great paths you can go if you go down this route. And I think it would be, again, I'm just looking for a unique angle. That's really what I want to see from a protagonist. No matter what gets revealed in 4 days at the end of this week, I'm still going to be excited. I'm going to try to fall in love with the protagonist. You know, every time a new show starts, I want the new protagonist to be my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Protag when it's all said and done. I want that show to be my favorite show. I want every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Show to be better than its predecessors. So no matter what, I'm going to go in with an open mind as I always do, but I would love for a unique angle, which is why I would love a girl lead. If they don't do that, the next one right up from that, I would love to see twin protagonists. And here's why I don't think it's as far-fetched as some people might think. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always kind of taken this angle of having more than one protagonist. Think about the very original Yu-Gi-Oh! We had Yugimoto and we had a Tem. Now, of course, none of these examples I'm going to list are twins or siblings or anyway, but you have to admit that by the end of the show, you absolutely could have viewed these characters as siblings, as blood. These characters became so close with each other, and at times, it really felt like there were two protagonists, which is something that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has done almost every show. Think about Season 4 of GX. While GX and 5Ds definitely are the weakest examples of this, Season 4, you kind of had Judai and Yubel, right? You kind of had the two protagonists there. Not really. I mean, Yubel definitely was not as prevalent as like an Atem or a Yuto from Arc 5, but Arc 5 is the next example. Yuya and Yuto. They looked similar. They definitely could have passed as brothers, and technically they were the same person. They both were Zark. And at times, you had two protagonists. Now, the big difference in this example, in all of these examples, actually, the other one being Zexal, where you had Yuma and Astral, and then you have Vrains with Playmaker, Yusaku Fujiki, and I, not counting Season 3 of Vrains. The big difference between having twin protagonists and all of these examples is that you only had one protag. There was really only one person dueling. Yuto was not really dueling within Yuya. It was almost all Yuya. Maybe there were times where Yuto would kind of go into berserk with Yuya, but Yuya Sakaki was the one being credited for all the duels. Yusaku was being credited for all the duels. Again, Season 3, that kind of changed, or Playmaker, I should say, not really Yusaku. Yuma was being credited with all the duels, even though Astral was assisting him. So we've had that dynamic of two protagonists to an argument, but besides the case of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, we've never had them be separate entities. Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains was the first time where the spirit partner or the partner of the protagonist was a separate entity, and that makes me think that we are getting kind of closer and closer to the route of two protagonists, to the route of twin protagonists, and I think the previous Yu-Gi-Ohs have set it up where we're used to seeing two main characters, even if we're not aware of it, because when you think of Zexal, Arc 5, and Vrains, you think, oh, it's Yuma, Yuya, and Yusaku. Those are the three protags. But you have to admit, Astral, Yuto after his death, and I also played massive roles in that show, and if you wanted to argue that they were just as important and just as protagonistic as the U-Boys that I just listed, not the Arc 5 U-Boys, you could probably make a decent argument. So I think that the idea of twins is something that we as Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans are more used to than we might realize, and I think the possibility of it is not great. I would give it maybe like a 20% chance. I would give a girl protag like a 10% chance. So I think the possibility of twins, brother-sister, brother-brother, I could not picture them doing a sister-sister, I think is higher than what a girl protagonist chances are. But those are just my thoughts. And again, we only have to wait 4 more days for this stuff to come out. And I am really, really excited for that announcement. So let me know what you guys think about twin protagonists. Let me know if you like the idea. Let me know if you agree with the points I brought up in the video. Let me know if you disagree with the points I brought up in the video, and if you definitely would not like to see two main characters dueling, carving their own paths, but having that strong sibling bond. Please let me know all your thoughts down below. I am very excited to talk to you as always. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Panther J, Smith620, Jorge Leon, and Blue Maiden 28, and to my Diamond tier patrons Jesse Wood, Latrell Smith, Sean, and Melinda Phantom, and to my Egyptian God tier patrons Joss Rivers and Syn Cloud. Thank you so much to everyone who supports me on Patreon, and to everyone who is a channel member. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all of you, and thank you to everyone who just watches my videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 most likely has concluded, had a few bumps in the road. The summoning methods video was given a copyright strike. I'm currently in the middle of fighting that, so hopefully that will be reinstated around Christmas, but we will have to wait and see. So, not without a few bumps in the road, but Road to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 has been an absolute blast, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to each and every one of you about what you want to see in regards to the 7th Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. This is going to be a very long week. Thank you all so much for watching. I will talk to you down below, and I hope you have an amazing day.